Malicious Compliance. I got my boss fired for stealing my work. Where do I even begin to tell this story? A year ago, I was practically married to my job at Arcadia Enter. My life revolved around grueling hours, endless late nights, and a social life that was practically non-existent. But I was fueled by ambition, single-mindedly forging a career I desperately wanted. I was all in for better or for worse. As a senior designer, I poured my heart and soul into a project affectionately called Project Vector. This wasn't just some run-of-the-mill task. It was the kind of design that industry professionals dreamed of creating. It was innovative, boundary-pushing, and breathtakingly original. It had taken me a year of meticulous planning, countless prototypes, and relentless testing to bring it to the precipice of perfection. But there was one obstacle standing in my path. My boss, Leonard Rhodes, Leo, the VP of Product Development, had a well-deserved reputation for strategically borrowing other people's work. He was the type to smile in your face or simultaneously stabbing you in the back. He'd subtly tweak other people's projects, then shamelessly claim ownership during presentations. But until now, he'd never set his sights on my work, my creation. Not until Project Vector. A few weeks before the quarterly review, Leo started acting differently. He showed a sudden, frankly suspicious interest in my project. "Hey, Noah," he said, trying to sound casual. "Just wanted to check in on that." "What was it again?" "Project Vector," I replied, trying to keep my tone even. He snapped his fingers. "Right, how's it coming along?" I gave him a carefully curated, brief update, not wanting to reveal too much. "Final prototypes are nearly finished. Should be ready for manufacturing once I run the last set of tests." He paused, then said, "Impressive. You know, Noah, the execs have been asking about new innovations lately. Something that really makes us stand out. How about I pitch Vector at the quarterly?" My eyebrow shut up. "I'd be happy to present it, Leo. I know the ins and outs." He cut me off with a condescending grin. "Noah, I get where you're coming from, but trust me on this. I'll be sure to mention you in the presentation, but this is a big opportunity for me, for us. You understand?" I didn't understand, but I bit my tongue, forcing a smile. "Of course, if that's what you think is best." He patted my shoulder, a dismissive gesture that sent a shiver of resentment down my spine. "Good, don't worry. You'll get your share of the credit. It's just one project." He said it like it was nothing. I kept quiet, battling the rising tide of fury within me. I told myself I was overreacting, but a persistent voice in the back of my head screamed otherwise. The day of the quarterly review rolled around like a dark cloud. I sat in the boardroom, a knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach. Miranda Sterling, our CEO, was there, along with the usual executive suspects. Leo began. "Today, I'm thrilled to unveil Project Vector. After a year of intensive work, I'm proud to introduce a product that redefines innovation in our field." I felt my stomach drop. He was really doing it. No mention of me, no acknowledgement of my work, nothing. Just Leo basking in the stolen glory. He started throwing around technical jargon he'd undoubtedly overheard me using in meetings, presenting it as his own profound knowledge. My pulse was racing. I waited, desperately hoping for him to say, "Of course, credit goes to Noah Graham, the brilliant mind behind this project." But the words never came. He wrapped up to thunderous applause, taking a deep bow. It was like watching a slow-motion train wreck, and I was the only one who knew the horrifying truth. After the meeting, as everyone was filing out, Leo approached me, a smug grin plastered on his face. "Thanks for your hard work on Vector, Noah. Looks like it paid off for everyone." I could barely keep my voice steady. "Everyone, or just you?" His smile didn't falter. "You'll get your chance, Noah. Don't let this get to you. It's just business. You know, look at the big picture. There will be other projects." I clenched my fists, fighting the urge to lash out. At that moment, Leo might have thought he'd won, but he gravely underestimated me. If he wanted to take credit for Project Vector, he was going to have to deal with every part of it, and he had no idea what was coming. What Leo didn't know was that I had built a hidden signature into the project, a small but critical detail embedded in the design specs that would cause a controlled glitch if not activated in a specific way. Without the activation steps, the prototype would be vulnerable to a public failure. I wasn't about to completely sabotage the project, but I wanted Leo to feel the consequences of taking credit for something he didn't understand. A few weeks later, Leo was preparing to present Project Vector to a group of potential investors. This was a huge deal. A successful pitch could mean millions in funding for Arcadia, and Leo was all too aware of the stakes. He strutted around the office, radiating arrogance. The day of the presentation arrived, heavy with anticipation. I watched from the back of the room, my heart pounding in my chest. As Leo took the stage, he began with his usual spiel about groundbreaking innovation and game-changing design. At first, everything seemed fine. But then, the glitch activated. The prototype emitted a high-pitched, piercing whine, then began to overheat. Small wisps of smoke curled from the vents. The room went silent. Confusion turned to alarm on the faces of the investors. "Just a minor technical glitch," Leo stammered, fiddling frantically with the controls. His face flushed crimson. "Leo, perhaps you should turn it off," Manda suggested, a voice cutting through the suddenly tense atmosphere. Leo's hands were shaking as he powered down the prototype. He tried to recover, muttering something about unexpected calibration issues, but the damage was done. The investors left shortly after, no longer interested in investing further. I'd never seen him look so pale, so utterly defeated. The fallout was swift and brutal. A few days later, Manda summoned me to her office. My stomach twisted with nerves. "Noah," she said, motioning for me to sit. She looked tired, her gaze probing. "We need to talk about Project Vector." "Of course, Manda." She folded her hands on the desk. "I've been reviewing the project files, and something doesn't add up. Leo's explanation doesn't match the technical documentation. So, let me ask you directly, did you design Project Vector?" I took a deep breath. "Yes, I worked on it for nearly a year. I designed every aspect." "But Leo," he took over at the last minute. Her expression shifted, hardening, and he didn't understand the full protocol. I shook my head. "No, he didn't." Leaning back in her chair, she sighed. "I've had my suspicions about Leo for a while now. He's a charming guy, but we can't afford charm without substance. This is a serious issue, and I need to act accordingly." By the following morning, Leo was gone. His office was empty, his nameplate removed. Word spread fast, and the team buzzed with whispers and sidelong glances. Leo had been a constant weight on all of us, a toxic presence that stifled creativity and fostered distrust. There was a collective sigh of relief as everyone started to adjust to this new reality. Not long after, Manda gathered the entire team. Standing at the front of the room, she began, "I want to address what happened last week. We experienced a malfunction during a crucial investor presentation. That presentation should have been flawless, and it wasn't. As you know, there's been a change in our leadership, and I want to be transparent about why that change was necessary." A hush fell over the room. Manda continued, her voice firm but compassionate. "Integrity is non-negotiable at Arcadia. We're a team, and every one of you deserves recognition for your hard work. Taking credit for others' contribution not only undermines our values, but ultimately weakens us as a company. Moving forward, I want every employee here to know that your work will be recognized." She paused, then looked directly at me, "Especially for his exceptional work on Project Vector, which has already proven to be one of the most innovative projects Arcadia has seen." A soft round of applause rippled through the room, and for the first time, I felt like my work, and not just my title, was truly valued. It was a validation I hadn't realized I had been aching for. But the best part was seeing the nods of acknowledgement from my teammates. After the meeting, as people drifted back to their desks, Manda stopped me by the doorway. "Got a minute?" Smiling slightly, she added, "Let's chat in my office." Once we were seated, she handed me a thick envelope. "Inside this is a recognition bonus," she said. "You've done an incredible job, and the company wouldn't be where it is today without your dedication. But there's also something else I want to discuss. More responsibility," she continued, leaning forward. "Your design talent is undeniable, and your commitment to the team has become clearly apparent. You understand the importance of integrity and professionalism under difficult circumstances. That's why I'd like you to take on the role of Director of Product Development." I was floored. I thought Leo's departure might shake things up, but I hadn't expected this. I don't know what to say," I stammered, genuinely speechless. She laughed lightly. "I hope that means yes." "Yes, absolutely," I replied, unable to hide my excitement. The role came with new challenges, of course. I was no longer just a designer. I was now responsible for guiding the entire product development team, setting strategy, and fostering an environment where everyone felt heard and valued. It was intimidating, but I was ready for it. After all, I'd learned firsthand what kind of leader I didn't want to be. The weeks turned into months. Under my leadership, the team flourished. People who had once been quiet and reserved began to speak up, sharing their ideas with confidence. Priya, a junior designer, came to me one day with an idea for a product that ended up being one of our most promising new developments. Martin, one of our analysts, developed a more efficient way to assess consumer preferences. And the best part was, none of them were afraid to share their ideas. The sense of freedom and creativity that had been stifled under Leo's leadership was gone. No one was looking over their shoulder anymore. We were finally working as a team. But just when I thought the dust had settled, I received an unexpected email. It was from Leo. Subject: catching up. "Noah, I hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out because I'd like to meet up and clear the air. I've had some time to reflect, and I think we both have things we could gain from talking. Let me know if you're up for it." Leonard. I stared at the screen, my emotions a confusing mix of irritation, curiosity, and a strange sense of pity. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to let him fade into the past where he belonged. But another part of me wondered if closure could be a powerful thing. We agreed to meet at a small cafe near the office. Leo looked different when he walked in. There was no smug smile, no confident swagger. He seemed almost defeated. "Noah," he greeted me, nodding as he sat down. Leo, the silence hung heavy between us. Finally, he cleared his throat. I owe you an apology. I know that. I folded my arms. He was reckless. Bad choices. Leo, you stole my work. You took credit for something you had nothing to do with. I know, and I'm sorry, but you have to understand. I was under so much pressure. I thought that if I could just make one big success, then everything else would fall into place. I shook my head, frustration bubbling up. Leo, you made that decision for yourself. You didn't care who you hurt along the way. Yeah, I guess I didn't. I lost everything because of it. No one will hire me, and I am pretty much blacklisted in the industry. His words hung in the air, and for a moment, I felt a pang of pity. This was a man who had built his entire life around a title, a man who had based all of his worth on the prestige that position provided. He was facing the agonizing realization that he had pushed everyone away and had nowhere to turn. Leo, start over. There are no shortcuts in life. Yeah, I think I just might have to. As I walked away from that cafe, I felt a sense of peace. For the first time, the past felt like it was finally behind me, and I was ready to move forward without looking back. Back at Arcadia, life was good. Project Vector had become a beacon for our team's new beginning, a symbol of innovation and integrity. We continue to develop innovative products that strengthen our reputation. One evening, Miranda stopped by my office as I was working late. She handed me an envelope, smiling. Inside was a substantial bonus, along with a handwritten note. Thank you for everything you've done. Arcadia's future is brighter than ever, and we owe a great deal of that to your integrity and leadership. With gratitude, Miranda, the recognition felt different this time. It wasn't just about the money or the title. It was the knowledge that I'd made a real, lasting impact. I'd changed not just a department, but a culture. I'd stood up for myself, for my work, and in doing so, I'd empower others to do the same. That night, standing by my office window, gazing at the city lights, I felt a profound sense of contentment. For years, I'd strived for success, driven by ambition and a hunger for recognition. But I'd learned that sometimes you have to stand up for what you believe in, for the recognition you deserve, even if it means confronting people who hold power over you. Arcadia was more than just a company now. It was a place where creativity and integrity could thrive. Miranda's speech about integrity and trust sparked a ripple effect across the entire company. Departments became more collaborative. People felt comfortable sharing their ideas and challenging norms. For the first time, Arcadia was becoming the place I'd always imagined it could be. Then one morning, something unexpected happened. I arrived at work to find an envelope waiting on my desk, with my name written in elegant script. I opened it and found a letter from Miranda. Noah, as you know, Arcadia has always been a company that values innovation, integrity, and growth. What's more is the evidence shown both in your work and in your leadership. With that in mind, I'd like to formally invite you to a partnership discussion with the board. Let's talk soon. Warm regards, Miranda. I reread the letter, stunned. Partnership. My hands trembled slightly as I set the paper down. Becoming a partner was something I had only dreamed of, a position I thought was light years away, especially after the turbulence of the past year. But Miranda's words made it clear. She saw something in me, something worth investing in. The meeting with Miranda and the board happened the following week. I sat across a polished table with the board members, my heart pounding in my chest. Miranda introduced me, explaining my contributions to Arcadia and my unwavering commitment to the company's success. I spoke about my vision for Arcadia, the importance of nurturing a collaborative environment, and my commitment to pushing the boundaries of innovation. By the end of the discussion, I was officially invited to join Arcadia as a partner. The reality of it hit me like a tidal wave. I had started as a designer, someone just trying to make a name for himself. Later that evening, I gathered the team to share the news. They were ecstatic, cheering and offering congratulations. Priya, who had blossomed into a creative powerhouse, came over and gave me a hug. "This is just the beginning," she said, grinning. I raised my glass. Arcadia's success isn't about one project or one person. It's about all of us pushing each other to be better, to think bigger, to work harder. Martin, one of our analysts who had always been quiet, stepped forward and raised his own glass. "To you, Noah, for making Arcadia a place we can be proud of." As we toasted, I realized that for the first time in my life, I wasn't chasing after some external validation. I was exactly where I wanted to be, and I was surrounded by people who genuinely cared about one another and the work we were doing. The months that followed were some of the most rewarding of my life. Arcadia continued to grow, and our culture became the gold standard in the industrial place where people came not just to work, but to create, to innovate, and to thrive. One evening, I stayed behind at the office, lost in thought. The city skyline glittered through the window, a reminder of how far I had come. A knock on my door broke my reverie. It was Miranda, a soft smile on her face. "Thought I'd find you here," she said, walking in and taking a seat. "Can't resist the view." I laughed. "It's a hard one to beat, you know," she continued, her voice thoughtful. "I've been with Arcadia for over 20 years. I've seen it grow, stumble, and get back up again. But I've never seen it come alive the way it has over the last year. And that's because of you. I shook my head. It's because of the team. I just opened the door. Miranda looked at me with that knowing expression of hers. Don't downplay, Noah. Leadership isn't just about doing the work. It's about making other people believe they can do it too. And that's a rare talent. We sat in silence for a moment, watching the lights of the city twinkle. Finally, she spoke again, her voice softer. I'll be stepping down in a few years. Retirement's on the horizon, and I want to leave Arcadia in good hands. I'd like to see someone take over who believes in this company's potential the way I do. I looked at her, my heart pounding in my chest. Was she really saying what I thought she was saying? Noah, she continued, her voice filled with conviction. I believe that could be you. For a moment, I couldn't speak. The weight of her words, the trust she was placing in me, was almost overwhelming. But then I nodded, a sense of calm settling over me. I'd be honored. I finally managed. Miranda smiled, satisfied. And so, the next chapter of my career began as the revenge story it once threatened to be, but as a journey of leadership, integrity, and growth. Or maybe it was only the beginning. The mission at Arcadia wasn't just a job anymore. It was my life's work, my legacy. As I turned off the lights and locked up the office that night, I walked out of the building, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, and new dreams to chase. Audience feedback requests single paragraph. So, Reddit, after hearing my story, do you think I handled the situation with Leo the right way? Was my petty revenge justified? Or should I have taken a different approach? I'm genuinely curious to hear your perspectives. Looking back, I question if I took it too far at any point, or if my actions were the only way to ensure that honesty and hard work were recognized within the company. Share your thoughts and opinions. I'm open to all feedback.